So we made it back from our trip from New York, and a little tired today. We left Friday at noon. By the time we got through the border and made a couple stops, and by the time we got to where we're going, it was about 8 o'clock at night, maybe even 8:30. So like I'm saying, we drove 8.5 hours to get there. In the morning we woke up and still had to drive another hour and 10 minutes to get there. We went there. It was a beautiful day. Sun was going. It did not start raining until the mini final, so that was perfect. You could have not have asked for nicer weather for this. After we left, it was like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night when we left the Derby. Maybe 7:30, I'm thinking. We got home at 3:15 in the morning. I am tired. It was a long drive. We had to tag team the driving between myself, my wife, and my buddy Jesse. I want to do a big shout out to my friends that tried to come to this as well, but had vehicle troubles. Their truck broke down just outside Buffalo and had to get it towed home. It was a big group effort from all of my friends and all of our friends in the Derby world to help get them home. So thank you guys very much. How did this car do? Before I say anything, I'm going to say this. My goal was to reach the finals. I didn't want to go out there and mad dog it because there's something seriously wrong with this car. I wanted to outlast everybody and drive my way to the finals, and I couldn't even do that. I did not make finals. I did not qualify in my heat, and I went to the consolation and did not do it as well. So what is seriously wrong with this car? If you take a look up here, there is nothing left. This is how rotted this car was. Look at the strut towers. You can put your fingers pretty much through it. It is so rotted. What happened to me in my heat was probably the weirdest situation that's ever happened to me. I broke a spindle. And I've broke cast spindles before. I've done it on Cavaliers. But this is the first time I've ever broke a Camry spindle. And the weirdest part is, it didn't bend my strut. It wasn't even a hit. I think a vehicle got spun and came into me, and it just tapped it and sheared it right in half. I actually did bring the spindle home with me. I'll try to find that later and show you guys. But it was just a tap. It wasn't even a hit. It was just a tap, and it broke my spindle. I've never had that happen before. And I've seen spindles break, but usually the struts bend first. So I'm not too sure if that was a weak part, if it was damaged or anything like that. So between my heat and the Consolation, I had one round to fix this thing. I put new lower control arm, I put new axle, and I had to swap all the brakes over and put it all back together. I didn't have time to basically cut any steel away from the tires. I had to change one tire before I went in, and I had to weld the tie rod because I broke the tie rod trying to change out the spindle. As soon as I put my gun on it, tie rod snapped, like clean off. So I have it seat belted in there right now to just get it back on the trailer, but it was just kind of MacGyver to get on there. But all I'm saying is that is probably one of the weirdest breaks. And as soon as it happened, the car dropped about 2 inches in the front, and I knew exactly what was wrong. But overall, my experience there, tech was done very nicely. The tech was done on a lineup away from your vehicles. It was all done really, really good. I had zero problems with tech. I had to cut 2 or 3 things, but if you ain't cutting, you ain't competing, right? Other than that, I had a great time there. Towing your vehicles out of the track, they kept hooking chains, and they used the tow trucks and drag out 5 or 6 vehicles in a chain. In the heat, I knew that my spindle was broken, and I did not want to damage my tie rod, so I took one of the seat belts off my hood. I put it through the rim and tied it around the bumper, so that way it wouldn't bend back. I knew that they're going to drag us out because I've seen other vehicles that were being dragged where the tire was way out here like this, being broken. So I tried to bring it all up to make sure nothing would break, and then I ended up breaking it myself. Car overall in the back end did really well, but unfortunately, just because of how much it's rotted, you can see all the seams splitting away in the back. Like I said, I probably picked one of the most rotted cars on my property to take to this show. And I still had fun though. Car did hold together. The main thing that has making this car really big garbage is this. You guys can start to get a grasp of how rusty this car was. The frame is completely imploded on itself. Subframe is kinked so bad it split 9-wire, and then it pulled this motor mount right apart. So I think this thing's got one more run in it, but it's not going to be a good one. It's going to be a crappy one. I might actually just call it and cut what I want off this thing and scrap it, because it is how rusty this thing actually is. Motor's still good, transmission's still good. If you guys do notice though, I have a pretty mean dent in my roof, and that's because I tried to take on the back of a Honda Accord wagon. The brand new headers I bought from Josh Archambault are now, instead of 4 in a row, it now looks like a diamond shape, because again, that Honda Accord, it landed here and it slid up my roof. Is there paint missing? No, I don't think there's paint missing, but you can see all the damages up my pillar right into my roof, and then his wheel was right here, basically where my hand is. So that was a little different. I'm not used to that, but had a lot of fun. What took me out in the Constellation, toggle switch broke. Can you believe it? So not only was I suffered by one completely random break, which is a spindle that you can't really prepare for, a toggle switch. I got hit pretty hard back here, maybe right there, to be honest. I'm not sure which one, but I knew it was back here. And all of a sudden the car died. It's because the toggle switch broke. There's nothing in that toggle switch anymore. So I found the wire and I was holding it on my positive, but every time I got hit, my hand would come on off the positive and it would completely die. So I found the problem, I diagnosed the problem, ripped the positive off, was holding it, made a competitive hit to get my clock recounted, and then I started wrapping it up so it wouldn't come off, and by that time I got smacked in the passenger side again, and my axle did break and my tie rod did break again. But you know what? It's all good. I had a fun time. I met a lot of people. A lot of people there met me. And the one thing I did notice, Camrys are tough, Luminas are tough, but the Accords in the US are crazy. Those guys move so fast. I actually stopped and talked to 2 guys that had not very nice looking Honda Accords there. And I said, what do you guys do to keep your spindles into these? Because honestly, like in Ontario, the Accords, they're tough and all, but the spindles are what takes them out. And he told me, we're just fast. You can't catch our spindles. We're so fast that we dominate, well, not dominate, but we don't get caught. You have to move so quick. And I was like, really? That's all your secret? And when they're out there, I tell you, those guys move. They move quick. Those Accords probably are faster than Camrys or Luminas out there. And they are mean. Once you get those things up to speed, they lay down some pretty nasty hits. But as of what we're going to do with this thing right now, I'm not 100% sure. That frame's pretty bad. I don't even know if this thing's got one more run in it, or if I should just pull the motor and put it into something else, because I do need a couple motors. So, I don't know. It's going to be a tough call. It's just because of how rotted this thing is. Like, maybe I could plate it, but I don't know. I'm going to go back and take a look at that. Excuse me. Just so you know, I never changed a single passenger strut on this thing yet. It's broken axle and the spindle, and it didn't even bend it. So look how much that's dropped. I had 9-wire there and everything, but the frame just gave right out. I imagine it's also because of this, how rusty that is up there. But I was doing good. I thought I was going to make feature, and then that spindle broke. If I had a made feature, that was my goal. I would have probably gone out there and junked this thing just as fast as I junked it in the Consi, but maybe even faster. But even look at the subframe. The subframe on this thing is garbage. I don't even think this thing's got one run left in it. I don't think it's got one run at all. I think I'd be better off just to pull my motor and say good day to this rusty bucket. I actually bought this car in Barrie, and Barrie, Ontario. I paid I think 300, 350 bucks for it, and I guess I shouldn't have. It's pretty damn rusty. But, oh well. We're home safely. My friends are home safely. The car is home safely. The Dodge made it. Pretty good. It's just a little scary at night on the hills in New York. Oh, that's another one thing I would say. Every time I always thought of New York, I thought of like a big city. But upstate New York is beautiful. There's hills everywhere. The scenery is breathtaking. Like, honestly, breathtaking. How are the rear wheel wells in this thing? They're not too bad. A little bit damaged. Maybe I could cut these out and put these into the wagon. Maybe. We'll have to see. But anyway, guys, I do have in-car and out-of-car footage, and we will be putting that up. So I want to thank everybody that came up to me and said hi to me in New York. You guys are awesome. And thanks for watching. I wouldn't be what I am without you guys today. You guys watching my videos is what makes me make more videos. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.